going to interview Steve and Julie Buccino today, all right? And the more I hang out with those guys and hear more about their story and what God's doing, there was just a real sense inside of me, literally felt like I was moving and saying, our church family needs to hear this story. It needs to hear all that's going on in their lives. But let me tell you this, they are nervous about coming up here, okay? So when I count to 3, I'm going to invite them to come up here, and I want you guys to cheer and let's shatter some windows to help break this nervousness inside of them, okay? 1, 2, and 3. So, you guys have lived here for 14 years, right? Okay, you're from Cali, originally, right?
Palm Springs, California.
Palm Springs, California. And so I told them, I mean, literally, if we were to unpack this whole deal for you, we would have season 1, season 2, season 3, okay? And so we're just going to dive right in to kind of where you guys are at. And I guess it was about 5 years ago, and you were diagnosed with mercury poisoning. Is that right? So everybody's probably like, okay, so exactly what is that? Would you kind of let people know what it is and what you found out in that?
It was actually 10 years ago, a little more. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and so I lived about 10 years with that diagnosis, and doctors working with me and trying to get me better, and I just continued to get worse. Then they found out about 5 years ago I was misdiagnosed, and I was on my deathbed at that time. My adrenal glands completely had shut down. And I couldn't fight off illness anymore. So I spent a good 2 years in and out of the hospital a lot, and was sick a lot. And I had 5 children, as most of you know. As the disease progressed, it attacked my muscles, where I had severe pain in my neck and my back, and then down into my arms and into my hands. I had what they call brain fog, and that's where you feel like you have a constant hangover. It's like a headache and brain fog, and I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't think, I couldn't remember. And then it progressed, and as it went into my hands, it caused me to be almost crippled. My hands curled in, and I couldn't use them anymore. And for all of you that know, I'm a hairdresser, and that is one of my biggest joys in life outside my family. And at the time I worked out of my home, and I homeschooled my kids, and I worked a couple days. I had about 60 clients at the time, and I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't use my hands, and the pain was so bad that I was bedridden. And so I gave up about 40 of my clients. I kept maybe about 20 of them, and one day a week if I could. They were mostly my friends, but they still didn't know how sick I was. I'm very secretive about my illness, and I didn't share it with most of my friends. But I would take Valium, and the Valium would relax my hands enough that I could cut hair. I spent many years on Darvocet, Percocet, antidepressants. I ended up with severe insomnia from the disease. And basically I was dying, and I knew I was. I went to my doctor and told him that I knew I was dying and that he was wrong, that I didn't have fibromyalgia, because I felt like something was really wrong with my brain, and that I had maybe a brain tumor is what I thought. Anyways, long story short, my brother found me a specialist in Denver, and after going to the specialist, she figured out that I was misdiagnosed and that I had a severe degree of poison in my body. And had I not found this doctor, she gave me 2 years to live. I was literally dying. And I went through 3 detoxes, and they got the poisoning out of my body. But unfortunately, it left my body very damaged. And they say I'm about 50% different now. I can cut hair again. I can do a lot of things I couldn't do, but they say I will never get better. So without a miracle from God, I will live with this. And it is difficult. Steve does, and my kids do about everything. I get to work about 30 hours a week, and then I have to rest a lot so I can work again to help provide for our family. But at that point, 5 years ago, Steve and the kids took over everything. Steve cleans, cooks, grocery shops, does the laundry, takes care of the children, and I rest. But I'm to a point now where I get to help with the housekeeping a little bit. I do laundry, and then I'm back on the couch. So I'm pretty blessed.
I've seen a movie about you. It's called Mr. Mom. And so, guys, today, as if you don't know, I mean, we're just going to be, honestly, we're just talking about pain. That's what we're going to be looking at and dealing with and kind of walking through. And so it was a while after that Steve, we found out that Julie had cancer, and it really kind of started to blow up. And so when was that?
It was probably, I'd say about 3 years ago. We just found out that as being fair-skinned, red hair, it's just common to have skin cancer, but normally when you're about 70, not when you're in your 40s.
Sure.
And for some reason, Julie's skin just had a rapid growth of cancer, just from just having 1 or 2 burned off to having multiple burned off to having multiple type of cancer treatments to try to get this under control, because it just every year it just seems the last 3 years it's out of control. It's just one of those things that it's just amazing how fast it's growing.
The cancer literally is kind of taken over. And
Yes.
what they've got to do is they have chemo, they have like this lotion chemo kind of stuff, right? And they've had to remove a bunch.
So three years ago, right when I was kind of getting through the detoxes, and I ended up sick again and was back in the hospital. And the day I got out of the hospital, we got a call from my doctor that the biopsy came back positive for melanoma. And so they did emergency surgery down in Denver that week and took out a 4x3-inch section out of my leg, and they got it all. But I'll tell you what, when you have to wait a week to a week and a half to know if it's spread, and melanoma is a killer. It grows on the skin, but once it hits your blood, there's no cure. And to wait to know if it hit the blood or not was terrifying. And it was actually probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it woke me up. I struggled a lot with wanting to live with this mercury stuff and the quality of my life that it would be, and being told I would never be better. But then when you're told that you may have this cancer that's going to kill you, it makes you rethink your life really quickly. And I didn't want to leave my family, and it's woke me up, and it's been it was a good thing that happened to me. But the squamous cell now that I'm fighting is not so fun.
Sure. They're like super mom and dad here. I'm telling you, the more I hear about this. And so you've gone through the chemo that you kind of put on you. They've gone through and have taken a bunch out. And we got a picture and kind of show you a little bit of what she's dealing with. And but that's all over the body, is the reality of it. And so she goes and hides out, right, when you go through that. That's what blows me away. You know, I've heard a little bit of story, she's struggling with cancer, all that kind of stuff. I didn't have any idea it was all this, and have any idea she was holed up in her room for days upon days. She's still able to keep the family going and cut hair and all that kind of stuff. Pretty mind-blowing how God is enabling you guys to walk through this and giving you steadfastness for your family in the midst of this. And so it was just recently, we're going to kind of shift gears. It was recently, Kyron was about 13 years old, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was about 13.
Okay, and you, yeah, check that out. Isn't that a cool picture? I dig that picture. Looks like something out of the jungle. That's what it looks like. Tarzan's son or something like that. So cool. And so he's about 13. You're sitting at the house, and you're noticing him walk up the stairs, right?
Right.
Kind of unpack that for us.
I just noticed he was limping when he was walking towards the stairs, and I said, "Why are you limping?" He said, "No, I'm not limping." I'm like, "You are definitely limping." "No, I'm not limping." I said, "What's wrong with your feet? Is it your ankle? You hurt yourself?" "No, I didn't hurt myself." "Well, we need to get you checked out." So we took him to a doctor here, and they looked at him and said, "You know, we really can't help you. You need to go to Children's Hospital and see a specialist." And we did that, and we found out that he has flat feet. He also has very loose ligaments in his body and his joints. So the problem was his arch is totally collapsed, and he has bone structure, but nothing holds it up in place where he actually walks on his bones, and it's very, very painful. So we did a series of, I don't know, for about 18 months of corrections, orthotics, physical therapy, putting his feet in cast for 4 weeks to try to give his feet a break to see if they would, heal, and end up doing a surgery. Pretty major surgery. They cut off his heels and they moved him in 1/2 inch. Screw him back on with titanium screws. And, they have a 99% success rate out of that surgery. And unfortunately, he's that 1%. No success. So we had some problems in June. After the surgery, that was last November. We had to take out the titanium screws because they were bugging him. He still has one on his foot, which we still have to be removed. And at the end of that, it was almost not quite at 2 years, but pretty dang close. And our doctor we had seen for that time said, I can't help you. Your kid's gonna have to be in a wheelchair, and you probably need to see a doctor in Seattle, Dr. Moscow. I'm like, okay. So we came back home and saw Dr. Verplug, who's a local here, and he said, you need to see Dr. Hans in Denver. Okay, we saw him a week after our seeing this doctor, finishing up with her. And he spends about 3 hours with us. All he can tell us that our son has very unusual feet, and we need to see Dr. Moscow in Seattle.
The Dr. Shuffle.
So we, with a lot of phone calls and persuasiveness of getting an appointment with Dr. Moscow, because our insurance won't approve out-of-state stuff, I finally got them to give me an appointment if I paid cash. But it took 2.5 months just to even get that appointment, because they wouldn't do it. It's like if you don't have insurance, you can't make an appointment. But we went to see Dr. Moscow, and he's world-renowned, travels all over the world. The surgery that he had, he's the one that invented it. He's done this for 25 years, and he's stumped. He doesn't know what to do. He said the screw has to come out, and there's a temporary thing that they might do, but we really don't know. It's temporary. It could not, but it's not long term. So we're on a road right now of, in June, we talked about genetics. And so in genetics, we're doing a testing here in February. So I did it in June 10th, and here it is February 7th, it's going to come up. So they're way out on that kind of stuff. So we're hoping that'll shed some light and give us a direction of what to do next.
Yeah. And so it's difficult for him to be on his feet all day long. Where most kids are running, playing, making all that kind of stuff happen. It's pretty limited there. And we're actually in the middle of trying to get a wheelchair
Yeah,
him?
I got some news about that yesterday.
Yeah, let's hear it.
There's a guy, Craig Kennedy, that we met when we first moved here.